Normally you play Kansas State the last game of the regular season, so you've got an entire season to look at as you put together a game plan. What are the challenges to play them right out of the gate like this?
Well, just that. I mean, they got some new coaches. Coach Wells on offense is a friend of mine, and I think he's a tremendous football coach. Great coordinator, fundamental guy. And they've got talented guys. So, you try. We're still kind of in camp, still trying to figure out who we are a little bit. And that's a little bit of the challenge. And then all of a sudden here, we're kicking into game week here real shortly. So I think just the time of it all. And I think in the first game, complete unknowns, to be honest. The quarterbacks, Heisman Trophy candidate, the tailback's incredible, wideout's incredible. They do a great job with their O-line. They do what they do, physical all the time. So, you're going to understand all that, and yet you're going to have to play the defense that you know best, and that's what we're still trying to work on a little bit.
How about the starting position battles that you've had in camp? How are those looking? Start maybe like defensive line and how the linebackers are shaking out.
I think it's still going on. Bill, to be honest, I think I'd be remiss if I said that I knew who the starting 11 were. I got a handle on a couple guys for sure. But I think there's great battles at D-line. The linebacker core's got a lot of experience. Those guys are getting reps. They're all going with the ones. They're going with the twos. Good days. And that group doesn't have a lot of bad days, but good days and a little bit average, and all of a sudden somebody's in front of you and that kind of thing. And then the back end is a lot of young guys trying to sort it all out. And, I think they're growing as well. Got into some 2-minute stuff today and some different packages and some of that kind of thing. So we're still a work in progress. And I mean, it's still Tuesday, and we've got to figure out here by the end of the week, and then we'll start getting all those guys the 1 reps.
Who are some of the younger guys that have caught your eye this camp and seem to have a bright future?
I think some of the kids that have been around a little bit, that even were around last year, Carson Van Dinter's had a great, spring, summer, fall. Marcus Neal has had a great spring, summer, fall. D lineman Jace Gilbert, Elijah Carnell, those guys have had great spring, summer, fall. Hawk has done a great job this fall. Just trying to think, Benny Nagoye is learning a new position. He's done a good job. Quentin Taylor, the guys at corner. Kajon Cummings-Coleman's done a great job learning. A lot of that stuff's new for these kids, but there's a good group of young folks that are really competing at a high level, and they make their daily mistakes, but they don't usually make the same one twice, and that's a blessing to them, and for us.
Jon, when you're building a week 0 game plan, how much stock do you put in past knowledge of last year's Kansas State team or, game film from last year?
You have to, and I think with our defense, you have to go back and really study us and what everybody has done against us, and the good and the bad and the ugly. And that's where we really start. And we started that in January when we came back and, try to fix some of the problems and some of the things. And some of it was, just some folks that were in there, injured or battling their tails off. But you have to look schematically at what you do, what those teams have done against your defense, and that's the starting point. And then you add all of that to, man, they're watching all of that too. Man, that was a really good play against Miami, or K-State had a great success on this route, or whatever it was. And so you have to go back and, man, how can we fix that? How can we solve some of those problems? So that's where it all starts really for us.
And with these early season matchups, do you feel like you guys make or are prepared to make more adjustments on the fly for a week 0 or week 1 game?
Well, you're going to have to be, you're going to, because you don't really know you don't have any idea what they're doing. I mean, they may look at all that and say, hey, we're going to do something completely different. So you really don't know. You really have to be good at what you do. And I think that's learned through repetitions. I think, I know for us, like specifically on defense, you got to be able to know how to fix problems as a player. And the only way you can fix that is through simplicity. And our guys knowing what to do, no matter how complicated it may look or whatever. We need to be able to get to them on the sideline. Here's what's going on. Here's how we fix it. This is the defense we'll play, and that's kind of how you have to roll, I think, in the first couple games, because we're not going to know anything about the second game either. So you got 2 weeks in a row of you're going to have to be really good at what you do and being able to fix what you do. And I think that's the challenge for coaches.
Matt's talked to us a lot about wanting to see the toughness of this team develop. What's, I guess, your evaluation of your group along those lines over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think you never know until it hits the fan, right? Like, I don't think you ever know until adversity strikes, and it's going to at some point in time. You never have, you work at it, you talk about it, you try to practice it. You show videos, but you just constantly tell them, but you're never really going to know how somebody's going to react, how the team 134 is going to react until something crazy happens. And then you're going to find out who's leading and who's in the front and who wants to be where they want to be. So you won't know until we know. And, but we've worked really hard at it for sure. Our kids have worked hard.
Coach, has there been anything looking back at last year where you've diagnosed ways to get to the quarterback this season?
We have, I think, that's a twofold question. Everybody knows we rush 3 guys. We're not a big blitz team. Never have been. We've played great defense. I think there's two sides of that. You either have to cover them long enough to get a sack, or you got to get a sack, vice versa, quicker than you have to cover them. And those two, for when you rush 3, like everybody, Will McDonald set a record here in sacks with a 3-man rush. Part of that is because when you drop 8, you got more guys to cover. So 3 guys, but you still have longer to get there. And, I think our rush lanes, our coverage to me needs to be better. Our guys in the back end, giving up some seams and some routes and some of those things. And again, I'll go on record. I don't feel like I was a great coach a year ago. I think we were playing a bunch of defenses and not playing defense. And that happens a little bit through injuries and those kind of things and guys filling in and, man, what can this guy do and what can that guy do? And I don't think we played defense at all. I think we played defenses, and that's not very good for your team. And fortunately, our guys on offense and our guys in defense fought like crazy. It doesn't mean they weren't trying. It just means as a coordinator, I can do a better job of coaching defense. And that's what we've tried to do since January.
Like you just said, you played good defense, at least in terms of points per game last year,
right,
without necessarily generating a ton of sacks.
Right.
Does that mean, is it a huge priority to get to the quarterback this year?
Yeah, it is. If it's what's best for the team, like there's situational football, I think. I think there's times we got to the quarterback last year, but you have to do it at the right moment. You have to have guys, when you blitz, that means you're covering, and your cover guys got to be better than, got to cover long enough to get the sack. So it all works hand in hand. I'm not overly stressed about it, to be honest. That we've done what we've been doing here. I think it all fits together. I don't get like, man, guys didn't get to the quarterback or we didn't cover. Like, all of that fits together. The longer you cover, the better you cover. The longer the guys have to get there. The longer the O-line's got it, the more the quarterback pats the ball, the more decisions that he has to make. I think that all fits together. So I think our guys have done a great job. We've obviously worked on some stuff to try to help us with pass rush lanes and forcing quarterbacks different directions and that kind of stuff. But we do that pretty much every year.